Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to the Ask Sonali Show. And of course, this is a show where the attempt is to ask tough questions to experts and get the best, knowledge and take the best decisions. Today, we have Santosh Neelangetal, who has been an education consultant for more than 2 decades, and he's a very passionate one as well. He has not only advised people, but he ensures that when they reach the destination, they are well taken care of, which I realized when I visited his office. So that's one of the reasons why he's here. The others have not qualified, but he has qualified. Okay, so Santosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sonali. Been really a good introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're most welcome. Okay, so before we go ahead, like I just wanted to clarify one more thing that in Success Studio, we have been primarily kind of focusing on mentoring for freshers as well as leaders in the corporate. However, recently, what we have understood is that this community of students are very, very critical to the corporates, and when they have a good education, when they go to the best institutes, and they plan well thanks to mentors like you, then we have the best ones to mentor thereafter to make them good leaders and support their journey and their growth. So that's the reason the focus on this segment of people, that is the youth of India. And of course, there are several other programs that we have planned with the college students, with the help of all the mentors and of course you. So that's a premise with which we start this session. Okay, so we have a lot of questions which have come to us thanks to a quick mailer that we had done. And one of the important questions that parents have is, what is the benefit and the downside of foreign education? Because it's a huge investment, and for parents, they are really very, very keen to know what kind of future it holds for the person who is going for it.
Well, downsides, global education. Currently, I think this. Let's look at it in three parts. One, I would look at India as a manpower.
Okay.
Now, the entire world is focusing into countries which have talented manpower. And India is qualified as a young, talented manpower, which means we have one of the world's largest number of young talent pool. Is almost second, third when you compare to US and China. So the number of institutions around, the number of people, young percentage of, I mean, the percentage of young talent around makes India the best place for universities world over and investments world over to place their best bets in the country. Number one. Number two, if you've seen the way industries have progressed in the last 2 decades, uh, it's an explosion of technology, it's an explosion of global best practices.
Right.
World has shrunken. So there is no more Bangalore, Tamil Nadu. It's always like Jayanagar and California, or Jayanagar and San
Very
Francisco,
true.
in a location.
Yeah.
That's how close the network, thanks to telecom, thanks to internet, thanks to technology, that the world has shrunken completely. And which is why the world has been able to survive the economic downfall despite the pandemic that we've seen. So though there have been a huge challenges, I think these technology and this shrinking is what has brought in. So which means it's a big keynote to the youngsters on they need to be prepared for a global best practices. I wouldn't use the word global migration. Generations like mine, which when we graduated out, I think about 25, 30 years ago, every individual who wanted to work globally or go abroad to study was primarily to migrate.
Sure.
The current generation is not a migration generation. They're skill-based generation, which means they know, they have the confidence that they will get into an employment. So today's generation does not have to fear, because if you look at the world's Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, if you look at the top 2000 firms in the world, if you look at the global leaders, they all have research centers, business centers, processing units in India. World over, you can look at firms from the United States, from Microsoft to Intel, to technology firms, to
Absolutely.
banking
Very
firms like
true.
Wells
Hmm.
Fargo. If
Hmm.
you look at technology firms from the European market, Mercedes
Hmm.
Benz, if you look at all of them from Germany, all of them have shop floors, all of them have workforces, research centers,
Hmm.
even to an extent where even content writing,
Hmm.
I'm told
Hmm.
that it's been offloaded into Bangalore. So movie, virtual films and things like that are also done back in Bangalore. So I'm using the word Bangalore because of the city, but otherwise, of course, all over the country. So this is the second point. And the third aspect is the financial affordability.
Sure.
So the awareness, peer pressure, and financial affordability. So students today, even in we get students from Orissa, we get students from Assam,
Hmm.
who aspire. Now, this morning, I think this afternoon, we've had a student from Nepal who's studying in Mumbai who inquired about organizational psychology in the United States of America. Can you see the loop
Wow.
that is going in through?
Wow.
So this is thanks to the accessibility of information and
Hmm.
the peer pressure or peer informations from students, and
Hmm.
the reachability of these global universities into students in India, trying to attract them into coming into their campuses. So it's a win-win policy. I think that's why I believe that most of them have seen this as a great thing. Banks have come forward. If you've seen through banking systems,
Sure.
right from nationalized bank and traditional conventional banking organizations to the most aggressive private financing, educational financing bodies, I think there are at least about 10 private educational financing bodies. One to be named, to be handpicked, is Prodigy Finance, which has come forward, and the student need not have a collateral. The
Hmm.
student need not have a third party support system.
Hmm.
All that the financial institution is asking is the academics
Hmm.
and the list of the universities that the student has gotten admission to. If these
Hmm.
two qualify, if the student's academics is good, and if they are getting into a good institution, I think banks are coming forward. They don't need that huge collateral and properties like what a conventional banking is also giving. So this is a reason which I see a huge explosion in the last maybe one one decade, maybe a 10
Hmm.
years. I've seen a big change from the mindset of students traveling to a global university.
Right, absolutely. Because, this is one of the things that I've seen that kids just want to travel, get a good education, come back and contribute in nation building. So that is a good sign, at this point in time. And of course, like you mentioned, that today, more than US or any other European countries, we have the best talents and capabilities in India. And that's one of the reasons why all the global companies are also looking at India as a target market to have not only do their work, but do their doing their employee management. So it is a great opportunity. And on top of that, if you have a global education certificate degree, then that is like icing on the cake. Right.
Well said.
Right. So fantastic. So that takes us to the most important aspect, which Payal from Delhi has asked that, while foreign education is great, what about the investment and how can one plan for it? When should one plan for it? Or are the parents supposed to, kind of do some policies and build a lot of wealth and then say, okay, fine, my son or daughter is going to go for this?
Before I even got into this domain,
Mm,
I was also of the misconception that
mm.
global education is meant for the rich.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a myth because it is in some term it is reality, because it depends on what kind of institutions and how you want to go. So let me tell you a few examples. I've had a student who went to Malaysia to study. I mean, now Malaysia is not a destination where many students think about even studying, right?
True.
Student went to Malaysia. I can't take certain names because of proprietary requirements, and the
Right,
student,
right. Sure.
I don't have a student permission. But the
That's
student went to
absolutely fine.
Malaysia, did an undergraduate program. From the undergraduate program, he migrated into UK for a master's course. And with the master's course in the UK, currently he's working in Airbus as a supply chain
Wow.
manager. Now, that path that he chose to take, taking Malaysia. So he comes not from a very highly academic background, but at the same time, he doesn't come up from a strong financial background as well. So he was a single parent earning candidate who was also very dependent on a rental income. So this candidate used not more than about 5 lakhs to go to Malaysia, and from there on he found money
Ways.
from his eyes. But that's a fact that the student have to consciously take a call. We've had a student, again, can't names, from went to UK because he got a neighbor's support because his father was driving an auto rickshaw in Bangalore city.
Wow.
And this child went to UK to a university called University of Salford. It's University of Salford, which is in Manchester. And from there on, the joy of working in this domain is, I realized that he wrote back an email to me that he got into a PhD program in Cambridge, which is fully funded after he finished. Now, the route they take, and so when it is possible, when it's all in your mind, it's possible, it is definitely achievable as well. At the same time, there are students who are spending about 50, 60, 70 lakhs of rupees, or 80 lakhs, and
even in India, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, even in India too. Yeah, absolutely. Even in India too. And of course, we don't want to
divulge those facts. Yeah.
Correct. So there are students spending this kind of money, and if they can mobilize the kind of funds to go into a tier 1 university like University of Southern California or Georgia Institute of Technology, Carnegie Mellon, where they are able to get an admit, their return on investment will not take more than about 2 to 3 years. A return on investment back in terms of recovering the principal is not taking more than about 2 to 3 years, provided they are coming out as a successful graduate of that institution. So getting into some of these institutions are tough. Getting out is even more tougher. So if you can, if you're carved for it with an academic, intellectual, or academic or intellectual capability, then you have a good plan to come back as well. Yeah.
All right. So it's not that it currently what I see is studying in India is also not any cakewalk, right? So if you want to go to the best institutions, unless you are meritorious to the extent of being a state topper, India topper, your seat is not assured, right? On top of that, you go to any government college, you are again not accessing the best of facilities in terms of grooming yourself, your career, to avail the best opportunities, right? So to that extent, yes, it does make a lot of difference as to how you're doing the investment, how you are making the plans, and of course, like taking the leap of faith in terms of doing it. Just wanted to share, like I was discussing, that Germany medical education, as far as some kind of research I did, I found is totally free in case you know the German language. A lot of my friends, these kids started learning German when they were in class 7th and 8th. Yeah, thanks to DPS that they have the German language as an option, right? And what also has happened, because this person was telling me that in case you learn it well, because they focus on, that person is also a doctor, and they focus on that kind of grooming so that the person is able to make it to the masters. Graduation you do here, and then, like you said, go to Malaysia, do the first half, and then like for higher education, you are taking those kind of advantages. Fantastic. Okay, so we are sorted with the investment, we are sorted with the job opportunities.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry if I can
please go ahead.
take it
Go ahead.
in
Yeah.
one more. Uh, Education in Germany is free even for technology programs, not just
Fantastic.
medical.
Oh,
Technology program. If you get an admission into a public university,
right.
your tuition fee is 800 euros.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
your entire tuition fee is about 800 euros. That's what you end up paying if you get into a public school,
Right.
public university. Yeah, so that's
Wow.
another factor. So,
Right, right. So, the other thing is, like you were mentioning, that Malaysia, Philippines, and some of the other countries, and their education system has grown by leaps and bounds in last, probably a decade, right? Why do you think this has happened? I'm sorry, this is a little controversial question. India, where it started with the Indus Valley civilization, Nalanda University, one of the best and everything, we still don't rank apart from our IITs and IIMs, and IITs which need to increase in numbers to avail more opportunities for more students, right? So why is
yeah,
that not happening?
it's a very sensitive topic, but then it's I would leave it to policies and bureaucracy end of the day, because I was told, I don't know how much of this
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
correct, so please pardon my statement. I'm telling this out of the no information. I
Hmm.
understand that some of the global universities have invested in real estate back in India,
Hmm.
right? So they have some
Yeah.
huge, there's a education corridor that I understand between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, where
Right.
some of the IB schools also have invested in real estate, but
Hmm.
unable to open up educational campuses back here.
Right.
So Malaysia, for example, I've been to University of Nottingham
Hmm.
campus in Malaysia.
Hmm.
The kind of real estate, the kind of space that you get to see. I've seen the University of Nottingham campus in the UK, and I've seen the University of Nottingham campus in Malaysia. I don't see a difference. So the kind of openness, the kind of space, the
Hmm.
kind of
Hmm.
quality of infrastructure that they have provided by the government
Right.
in Malaysia, I think is very appreciative. So that's how universities have migrated. Now, if you look at Dubai,
Hmm.
Dubai has a complete knowledge city, right
Wow.
from Amity to BITS Pilani. BITS Pilani has a campus there. Manipal has a campus there. So you name some of the aggressive Indian institutions have campuses in Dubai, in the knowledge city. Stanford has I mean, Carnegie has a campus there. Some of the top UK schools have campuses
Awesome.
the knowledge city. So I think that is what I see from countries around that are
Hmm.
welcoming global investments into their place. And
Beautiful.
governments have to understand that education is the crux of economy building.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the other questions, like Ravi from Chennai asks is that, like if you have missed the bus of graduation, undergraduation, and you have gone into work, you have done your bit, can you still look at for an education to upgrade, your growth as well as your career and stuff?
Of course. Of course, even suppose you've completed your undergraduation, if you've done your undergraduation in India and you've gotten to an employment, and if you're comfortable after 2 3 years and have realized, like say for example, typically a student with a mechanical engineering background got into a corporate environment, has
Hmm.
been working on data sciences. Mechanical engineer working in a corporate environment, data sciences, have been working there for about 2 years, want to progress now into a master's in data sciences. It's
Hmm.
definitely possible. Definitely possible.
Fantastic.
And students who want to have an interdisciplinary education. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've worked in an electronic domain, but after about 3 4 years of work experience, I realized that I want to get into a subject called Masters in Mechatronics. Possible, absolutely possible. Progressive courses are possible. Conversion courses are possible. Conversion courses are possible, but it's going to be a challenge.
Right.
Again, another case study that I'd like to bring to your notice and on records is I've had an electronics and communication graduate, and not a average graduate. She has got an 8 CGPA
Wow.
in the Indian education system in electronics and communication. Realized that that's not the cup of tea that she wanted to spend her rest of her life in. So she was interested in architecture.
Wow. Okay.
Electronics and telecommunication to a master's in architecture, like that's like
In
one of the
India,
craziest.
it's not possible. It's just not possible. Yeah.
So it's not India, but generally what happened, suddenly she came up and said, this is what I wanted. And then we started working towards this child.
Wow.
It took about 2 years for us to work with that candidate. And she got into Ohio State University in the United States for a master's in architecture,
Wow.
which is called a conversion course. Means I am coming from a completely non-relevant background. I'm going in for a conversion related program. You have to do a lot of justification for that. But if you're interested and if you want to shift and if you realize that this is a time, it's definitely possible.
Wow. And Santosh, the thing is that there are a lot of organizations like edutech companies now, which are offering these foreign educations in India itself, right? So you have a upgrade and you have a collaboration and so on and so forth. How would you compare that versus studying abroad, going abroad and doing the course?
Well, if you look at the, if you ask me, if you look at the technology that we learn, I believe it's almost the same. There are probably two reasons that that an Indian child or wants to go abroad to study. The first factor, of course, is $1 is 75 rupees, which they believe is one of the easier factors for them to calculate and try and get a proper return on investment. Well, that's on a lighter note. But the most important factor is the kind of diverse crowd that you get into. Now, I'd like to take the another case study here, since you brought in this question. I've had a student from one of our company here in India, Bosch, from a software environment, a mechanical engineer software environment, wanted to go into operations research, and he got an admit into George Mason University, which is in the United States of America.
Wow.
Now, the kind of experience that he wrote back, or he informed us is, Santosh, I have a 72-year-old person who's sitting by my side doing operations research, studying.
Oh my God, this is awesome.
I'm 72 years, half my leg is in the graveyard. Right? So at 72, if somebody is aspiring, and at 72, if they're allowed to study, of course, that Indian migrational requirements, probably we don't get our visas, but his local candidate, his local student, there is 70 years old. That's a big thing to understand. So the level of diversity that you get to see from age, from ethnicity, from various technology, that experience is an absolute campus experience, which unfortunately
nothing else can give you, right?
Nothing else can give you.
Right. That soaking yourself in that global culture and interacting with different people from different countries is a different experience altogether, right? Because end of the day, when you go to your corporate career also, you are doing something similar, right? On a day-to-day basis, you're interacting across the world, right? So,
and the confidence that what we're very good at, from the human race, I think we are one of those really finer, well-educated. We have ancient universities. We're one of the first universities in the world, and things like that. All this is great. But currently, what we lack is confidence. We have technology. We lack confidence. What I see among students when they go out and come back during vacations, and they come to see us during their semester break, or the kind of confidence that they emulate in them is phenomenal. The body language that they give and they come in, the kind of way they present themselves, is an absolute transformation that you see, and that's what global corporates and worlds and
Are
research
looking
centers
for.
to do.
Beautiful. Excellent. So thank you so much, Santosh, for taking time out and having this discussion. I'm sure this would help a lot of children feel confident to, like take the leap of faith and study the courses that they have always desired. And looking forward to, like our program, which we are going to take to colleges to, kind of enlighten and empower more children to take up education abroad. Hmm? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.